that track, we could say we want one obstacle, or we want 3 obstacles, I don't care. Or so one is take them all, one is decide how many obstacles you want to work on and take 1 or more and call it good, and let other organizations participate in the others, however they want to.
But you're talking about forever.
Yeah, we're talking about forever.
So
This is not just a one-time
but
shot.
hold on. This is, so if you, Gary, if we decided, then the third option, I guess, is that we could say bail and send the money back to the horse board and say we really don't want to proceed. We could do that too. But when you talk about this in perpetuity, I mean, I thought about this beforehand too. I mean, Karen talked to me extensively about this. The maintenance required for 3 logs, cottonwood trees laying on the ground that horses step over, 3 inanimate objects, so they rot away. Do we want to replace them? Is anybody requiring us to replace them? Yeah, we could probably replace them. We could probably commit to that. You know, I'd probably commit to it as an individual. Yeah, I'll put 3 logs down there, no big deal.
Yeah, because they ain't gonna rot over there.
They're not gonna rot over there. You know, in 10 years, we'll cut down 3 more cottonwood trees.
And put them back.
Trees down there.
Well, and they cut those right there, and they have a pile, so you just take out the old one and put in a new one.
I don't think
Hold on.
I don't think that's the point, though.
You're right, you're right.
I really don't think that's the point.
Whoever does that, there may be, Kelly may be interested in sponsoring a real bridge.
Yes, but what the whole point is, the way it stands now, it appears to me, and I may be wrong, is that Boise's kind of the hub, the head of it, and then all these people are going from us. Whereas I think we should be one of these people down here, and the main organization that is in charge of this doesn't need to be us.
So, okay, that's a really good description, and I appreciate that. That's absolutely right. And I guess what I was thinking of is that we are a hub because we received the $2,000, and we can either get rid of the $2,000, or we could keep a portion and do a bridge, or we could keep all of it and do logs and not spend any money at all and give it to somebody else. But when we give it to somebody else, we're not responsible for all these other things.
But it still came to us to begin with. The grant wasn't given to somebody else, the grant was given to us.
Us.
And
With
I
the
think whoever
request.
gave us the grant needs to give all these other people their own grants. And so I would say, we don't wanna be in charge. We wanna give the money back. And then if we decide we wanna do an obstacle out there, whoever this main, if it's the horse board, or if it's Eagle Island, or if it's whoever it is, we say, and we provide the manpower, but it's not ours, we're not liable for it, there's no ownership there, we're just helping.
So
I can see that, but I can't see being, this hub.
Can I address that?
Go ahead.
Well, in the grant, Backcountry Horseman is a sponsor. That was over 5 months ago that I asked if you would be interested in it. We developed this plan, and it is specific for Eagle Island. And I appreciate you letting me know now that your heart might not be in it, but I surely would have liked to have known before I put the grant in and asked you to sponsor it, and there was an agreement with that.
Oh, it's not
So-
so much that the heart's not there. The heart is there. It's the long term that.
So it specifically says provide engineering, building, and maintenance. So that's in the grant. It was written that way. It's not something that changed or was put in there at the last minute. So I'm just saying that it's a bit of a surprise to me. So let's move forward where, the money is granted. So it would be nice to at least do the logs that are don't cost us any money. I went out there and salvaged 40 logs with Gary Shelley. He was with the tractor, and we pulled 40 logs off the pile the day before they were all burned. There's no cost in the logs. It would be providing the labor. and then choose one thing that will cost them, use the money. But that money to give it back, it would be disappointing to me. But, if that's where you're at, then that's where you're at. I just wish I would have known a long time ago, because this grant clearly puts that out there. And Scott has read the grant, so,
Well, I personally did not join Backcountry Horsemen, Treasure Valley, Boise, or whatever. I joined them to go clear trail in the national forest. I joined them to saw logs and go through creeks and cross bridges out in the wilderness. And this sounds not like that.
so my question is, so the idea was, this was Scott said, this is to give them practice to feel comfortable and bridge them to go to the back country. And that was the whole purpose, right? So to give these experiences so they feel more comfortable. So I'm just wondering who voted to do this back then, if if so many people are changing their minds now.
We brought this to the chapter after it was in the middle of the project, essentially.
So you spoke for everyone to take this on without them knowing?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that you didn't have their support. And last time we met, there was unanimous support for the project and the obstacles, and then unanimous support for the sponsorship.
I
So
think
is this all changing?
I think it all kind of evolves. I mean, this is the first meeting that my husband and I have been able to come to for months.
There's
Because we've
different
been in
people.
such a high risk for everything. We stayed home. A lot of this stuff, we haven't been involved with, and I know other people, haven't been involved either. So a lot of times, how meetings go, people sit there and somebody talks and well, but that
And then you
might
go home
not,
and think
that
about it.
might, and I know somebody that's not here tonight, that's exactly what happened with them, and they said, I didn't wanna do that, but, like everybody was doing it, and like I say, I'm kind of vocal, I speak the way I feel, and this is the first meeting I've been to since this whole project has come
Well, and
up.
it
So-
started in November, and I had talked to a few people about it, and Karen, I promoted it as a really good idea. This would be a great opportunity. It would showcase backcountry horsemen, and when the grant went forward to the board, they said, well, how many other clubs can you involve? I think that was the best suggestion that was made, is how many clubs can you involve? Because something like that should be, many of you don't know that Jill Mon is the Horse Council State Trails Coordinator. So, from her perspective at looking at this, whether their work in the Oahes or at Eagle Island, with with Karen at Eagle Island and the Eagle Foothills, these things go on. But, I've talked about it with a few folks, and you're right, and the COVID thing has been pretty fragmented for everybody's knowledge of exactly what was involved. So I think as it evolved, the idea when the horse board asked us to involve many other people was like, great.
Yeah.
It takes the burden off of us, spread that, opportunity around.
But you haven't been able to get anybody else involved yet.
But nobody,
And
Well,
that's the
the
problem.
distance riders wanted to build something, right?
yep.
Yeah, I'm speaking with the distance riders tomorrow
Distance riders
at their
wanted to build
meeting.
Something, the
Can I-
Mustang, I don't know about the Mustang Club, but who?
The side saddle, Jacqueline Holly, Lois
Blazer
meeting,
Club
Lois.
wanted to build something. So there are a lot of other chapters that would want to build something or do something. And, that's why I was trying to, Ann said it better than I did, that's what I was trying to facilitate. We are one of those chapters. Yes, we received some money, but that doesn't make us responsible for the whole thing. We have an advocate in that for Karen. We can hand the whole thing off to Karen and say, if somebody needs $500, tell us who it is, we'll send them a check.
Well, how about this idea? We do 4 and 5, which are just logs, and then you choose one project or two that use the $2,000, and maybe you have possibly 4 projects that 4 things to get in this year, and
Well,
then
let
I
somebody
can
else
do
do it.
another grant with somebody else for the following year and involve a different group, and that's all your That's all, and then you're done with your part, and the money's done, and it's used at Eagle Island like it was intended.
But you're not
But
done
you're
with
not
it.
done.
You're not
Because
done
you're
with it.
saying that it's something that we have to maintain in the group.
Yeah, that was in the proposal, that was the agreement of backcountry horsemen, Scott was there. Yes, so you don't want the main, you don't want
Half
them,
of us won't even be here in 5 years.
Don't say that.
so Scott, did you think about that when you agreed to that at
The
the,
maintenance?
yeah,
I would say the same thing that Donnie says.
Yeah.
The maintenance is, what are you gonna do, put a log on the ground?
Maintenance is petty.
And that's why the idea was, these are all static things. Eagle, the quote-unquote Eagle Mountain was the existing dirt pile that is out there, that has a trail on it.
and
With some rocks on it.
we can certainly change, like Eagle Island and the pyramid are pretty ambitious, so we can, those are gonna be the most maintenance, just don't do those, just do, if you were
We can choose to
interested.
do 3 cottonwood logs if you want.
Well, so
No, we already have the log, so I would just ask you if you would like to do number 4 and 5, and then, at least do a couple obstacles to use the $2,000, and then maintain those. Yeah, it would be in perpetuity. So the maintenance has to lie somewhere. That's part of the agreement with the grant, and that was written into the grant. If you totally don't want to do that, please let the money stay with the grant, and I can talk to the horse council about it, and I can find another club that would be willing to do that. I've already wasted time, 5 months, so I would like to know now if that's something you do or do not want to do, then just let me know.
Karen, don't take it personally.
I'm not taking it personally.
Okay, so here's an idea. So, one of the things that I think was misunderstood was that there was gonna be some other groups that were gonna come and be a part of the whole. But if this group wants to build 1 or 2, let them decide which ones that we want to do. Let them decide out of it. Because if you're asking us to be a part of it, give us the option to do it. Not say, do this one or this one, and then use that 2,000 for whatever you're thinking that needs to be done. Get a committee out of these people and ask them to do it with you. Choose it, because it is a part of this group then. And I don't think, it is appreciated that you have the idea to do it. We want to do it with you. It's not that we don't. What is the state's responsibility in having this done on their property? What does the state do? Could we somehow lobby to get an extra $1 or something for those that are gonna use the equestrian? If ETS has an event out there, do they have to pay to use it? Has that been thought of?
Yeah,
That
they
have
got a
to pay?
permit for it. I don't know
No,
if
do
they-
they
I don't
have
know.
to pay
I don't know
to
if
use
they're,
it?
I don't know if they're paying.
That might
No,
be
it's
an
on
idea.
state park land, we wouldn't charge them.
That's exactly right, it goes through the legislature, that's exactly right. And within the Idaho Horse Council, there is a committee for legislation. And that could be one idea to also for money.
I don't understand what you're talking about as far as legislation. I'm very much
For a
on
fee.
legislation, I know what.
For a fee,
To use
to
it.
use it for exactly for the purpose that you have to charge a fee
No,
for it.
so
That's
this,
an idea. That's
And
an
that's
idea down the road.
Yeah.
So that helps to pay for the maintenance that might come down the road.
Okay, well, here's another thought. Okay, so let's say we build a bridge. So we're supposed to maintain it. So something happens to the bridge, a horse falls through the bridge, something terrible happens with this bridge. Okay, so maybe we're not liable because of the horse, whatever that thing is.
Well, liability, yeah.
But who's gonna fix the bridge? It might not be us. We're putting this chapter responsible for something down the road, you know, unless the whole thing at Eagle Island just goes away, you know, take the bridge out. I mean, who's gonna do all this?
You're right, it is a commitment, yep,
You're making a commitment
Yep.
for.
it is a
for this
commitment.
group, and that's not what BCHA or I or whatever stands for. You know what I'm saying? We're a nonprofit.
As much as I would have liked to see,
Liable for
yeah,
stuff like
I
that.
understand
And
it,
even though
yeah.
it may not be cash or whatever, it is liable. It's making you this group responsible for something in Eagle Island. And I don't wanna do that. I
Whether
personally
or-
don't wanna do that.
whether
And I don't wanna be involved with a group where the group is liable for that. Because if the group's liable for that and I'm a member of the group, I'm liable for that.
Yep.
Well, most of the people that don't show up to go do the things anyway,
Well, yeah.
you know?
It
So-
sounds to me like there isn't a problem building or putting together the obstacles, it's the maintenance. that
Long term.
everybody's arguing.
So if you rather not do that, then let's keep the money with the project and I'll find another sponsor. You know, I just really wish
I can certainly
you
go to
would've
the horse board and
told
ask
me
them if we can
before.
transfer the funds to another
Right,
sponsor.
that's what you, yeah, that's what you'll have to.
Well, and I can, you know, so are you not interested in doing any projects out there? Is that what I'm hearing? And do you want to take that to a vote?
Chapter had
I
a,
think what we're.
So you completely changed your mind?
chapter had a motion to take $500 from other organizations to help do this project. It sounds to me like someone needs to make a motion that we abandon and reverse that previous motion. And we do not require anybody, you know, we do
Yeah,
not.
because now the other, because we were under the assumption the other organizations were getting involved.
Well,
right?
my understanding is like Zamzows, DMB, they're interested in like $500. And then we can involve other people, you know, how, the question was, would you be interested in involving other clubs? And I'm open to that, of course, but, the obstacles need to stay the same. It's not like you give, you know, an obstacle to somebody and, okay, do whatever you want. Because this is okay, you know, approved of by the state park director. So we would have to, what I would like to see is if you're interested at all in doing any of them, let me know and you can pick which ones you want to do, whether it's one or two or whatever. And then, you know, whatever money's left over, then we keep it with the project and I'll find a different club to do a different obstacle.
I like the idea where you give the money, let the money stay with the project, but give the project to another club. And if they need manpower.
Or multiple clubs.
Huh?
Multiple
Or
clubs.
multiple, yeah.
No, but that would be
Because
my,
we're not gonna be, I don't think we should be responsible for long haul anything. When we do our projects, we do them with grants, they're done, over with. Not something that we're gonna do from now until kingdom come.
Right.
But we have a lot of manpower, we obviously have interest in having that out there. It's not that we don't want to do the project, but I don't think we wanna be liable for the project.
the liability is not yours.
So.
And I wouldn't
As
do-
far
Who would
as
be
making-
responsible for the maintenance?
For the maintenance, not the liability,
If we take the grant money,
not the
we're
liability.
liable for
for
maintaining
maintaining
them, we're not I'm not saying we're.
So here's what
liable for-
I've got another proposal, and I would go back and talk to the horse board about this. The horse board can keep the $2,000. They're the executor of the funds, right? And I'm talking pointedly only because I'm thinking out loud here. If the horse board is the executor of the funds, Karen has done a lot of work to work with Idaho State Parks, and she can run with this thing and coordinate it. And she brings 10 organizations or 12 organizations on. I don't care if it's 20 organizations. But if we were to simply give the $2,000 back to the horse board and let them assign that to whoever Karen wants to assign it to. Karen says to the horse board, that $2,000 you set aside to backcountry horsemen, they're not gonna use theirs. Whether they do a project or not, or an obstacle or not, it doesn't matter. But the Mustang Club wants to build a bridge and that's $600. Board, give the $600 to the Mustang Club. Or they can give the money to Karen and she can be responsible for the funds. That's another, whatever the horse board wants to do, however they want to manage that. The horse board could just as easily given this money to 4 or 5 entities in little tiny chunks for the same project.
That's not our decision.
That's not our decision.
Yeah,
Not our
that's,
decision.
I could have applied for this myself. I just wanted some help with the building and the maintenance of it. So, I can just go
And
back
now
to
it-
square one, and I just wish I would have known, and that was clearly communicated to you
In
before
retrospect, Karen, you have-
the grant was given, because that's some time that I could have been spending somewhere else.
Karen, in retrospect, you do have the support for the engineering and the construction of that with every horse chapter in the valley.
So are
that is
you,
offered.
are you interested in doing any of it?
Not,
Um,
well, we're interested in helping with the work part of it, but not the maintaining.
Yeah,
The
so.
only issue that everybody hears.
Well, the work part of it is maintaining it. I mean, like, it,
So there's
Yeah.
the building it, and then there's taking care of it after.
So
The
let me ask you
Right.
obligation,
this.
the long-term obligation is what the club doesn't want.
right, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if I come to you in 3 years, would you consider helping, changing out those logs, and you could revisit that?
And we can still go over and help do something.
Help Karen do something. That's exactly right.
And if you
But
need
we're
help
not gonna be
doing it,
reliable to
then
go
have
back
us fit
in
in.
3 years.
Well,
because
yeah,
the law
that's
wants
fine. I am totally fine. I don't want you to do more than you feel comfortable with, and so I'm totally fine with that. It won't stop the project. I'll find one way or the other to get it done.
Okay, so Ann, do you have a motion you wanna make on this?
Well, I move that we return the $2,000 to the horse board, or to take our name off of the $2,000.
Okay.
$2,000, as far as I could care less. I mean, it would be nice if it stayed with the project, but I can't tell the horse board to let it stay with the project.
Right.
I think the only thing we can do as a chapter is get it back and say, people we weren't really smart enough to think about this. Ramifications of the whole thing. We're happy to donate our labor, if you want to build, or whatever, and we can be just little Indians, but we don't need to be, we don't need to be.
I second.
So my motion would be to return the funds to wherever we got it from.
So I guess we have to vote.
So Ann has made a motion to return the $2,000 and that we can assist the board, i.e. probably Karen, in building an obstacle or doing something out there.
But
And
that's
it's
not part of my motion. My motion is just,
to return the funds and then we can talk about this some more. Motion was seconded by Donnie. Any discussion on the motion? Any more details? Thoughts, recommendations? Ideas?
A motion, we give the money back to the horse board at this point.
That's what Ann said.
That's what
return the money.
That's
That is the
you said?
motion.
Yeah.
How are
And that
you?
was
I'm sorry.
return the funds and yes.
Sorry about that.
It's okay, sponsored by, it's seconded by Donnie. Okay,
So just realize with that motion, a part of the discussion is they may keep it with the project or they may delay it for a year and I'll need to find somebody else to, well, I'll just keep it myself and apply for it and just use the money and I'll have a totally different, probably a totally different committee that would just be like Friends of Eagle Island that are committed to doing that. So just, I would like that money to stay with the project, and if you could include with the return of it that you support the project and you're concerned about the maintenance and that you would like the money to stay with the project, I would really appreciate at least that much.
Include that with your motion,
Yeah.
revise your motion. Say that.
That's what the motion said, and I'll let them stay. Go back.
yeah, no, she's got it already, she's already got it dedicated down, right? And do you have reservations about that?
Can you read it?
well, those aren't my words.
Right.
My word is, I think we should return the money to the horse board. I can't tell.
Return the money to the horse board,
I
but you
can't.
have a recommendation with how that money is returned.
No.
No,
So, I would return the money to the
Just
horse
return the money.
board, and,
let them deal with it. Okay. Okay.
Thanks. I mean, I'm risk losing it, and I
All those in
really,
favor of the motion, say aye.
it's a lot of time.
Any opposed?
Yay.
Nay.
Who said nay? Thank you. Just checking.
Cause I think we should allow them to support this, cause we're gonna wash our hands of it.
Yeah,
But
that's why I
the
would vote
money,
nay too.
she's done all this work, you know, for this project. I think it's unfair to her to
well,
put
I
her
would make
through
it,
that.
well, I would make
And
another.
I would have a motion that we recommend that the money stay with the project, that they don't choose where to spend our grant that we, you know, that
The
she had
Karen's worked hard
gotten.
for it.
Yeah, that it should stay with her because she did do all this work.
And it's not.
I
And
agree.
it's not fair.
And
It's
it's
not
not her
fair
fault that
for us
we
to
all
change
didn't-
our
we all
minds
wasn't able to
already,
get together
you know,
over all
cause
the
we
years,
did vote on this the last meeting.
months.
We did vote on
Right,
it.
yeah, we did, right.
We did. So that's really kinda jacked up that we're doing this to her now,
Thank you.
you know?
But that meeting was, that meeting was
Make it a motion, make it a
a
second.
Zoom meeting.
No, everybody was there. I mean, people were there.
Last month.
It was last month's
That's
meeting
when
when
we
we
voted
voted
on
on
the
it.
At Gary's house in person.
Yeah, Gary's house.
But no, I mean, your point's well
Yeah.
taken, and
So I make a motion that we recommend the Idaho, what is it, the Horse?
Horse
Council?
Board.
Horse Board.
Horse Board, keep the money with this project. The Backcountry Horseman wants the money to stay with the project, but we do not want
The
the
responsibility.
responsibility.
long-term responsibility.
Yeah,
The responsibility of the maintenance.
right,
Yeah.
yeah. Cause we're gonna go out there and help, because we've already offered our help at building these, you know, whatever she needs done. Paul's gonna take his tractor and all that kind of stuff. We've already made those commitments, and it's just not right to back out of those commitments. So,
I don't
I
think
think
there
that,
is a term limit on it.
huh?
Is there any kind of term limit on it? Like, we would maintain it for like 5 years? Or is it forever?
We can decide that. You can put 3 years, you could put 5 years, we could, you know,
and
do a
lot of it,
sponsorship.
I mean, how long does it take for a bridge to rot, or how long does it take for us to, you know, these
Deck is
mesquite
about
trees
10
or whatever?
Yeah.
I mean, what do you gotta do, go out there and, replace them every 5 years or
Over
something?
10 years.
Yeah,
10 years.
but that's beside the point, you know, we're gonna help with the building and all that stuff, that's not gonna change. We just don't want the long-term responsibility of maintaining it.
Yeah. Rob,
I got something to add.
yeah,
I've been sitting here listening to it, and I wasn't informed any of it from the very beginning.
sorry.
Because we all know we've been through. But I have to agree with Aaron on one thing. There was evidently enough people here that they passed it, that they would help this lady,
Yeah,
and they agreed to it. And now, to me, listening to everything, the biggest issue is nobody wants to be responsible for long term. So why is it a possibility that the grant be revised or the wording be revised, that we go ahead and take the $2,000, and as a club, we do whatever projects it takes to eat $2,000 up. But that when that is put together and done, we as a club are done with that. We're done with it, and there's no maintaining, there's no responsibility for anything in the future. I mean, how is that any different than the bridge that we built up at Bear Valley?
It's not.
I mean, we built the bridge, we're done with it. Sometime down the road, it may deteriorate, and somebody's gonna come to us and say, hey, will you guys redo that again? And we'll decide as a club if we wanna do it again. I mean, is that a possibility? Because I have to agree with Aaron a little bit. I mean, as a club, we agreed to it.
Yeah.
Somebody did, I wasn't here, but
Yeah.
somebody did.
Yeah,
Like 5
and
of
that's,
us
that's
were
my
here.
whole point, is we already voted on it, so it's really not fair to Karen with all the work that she's been doing, that we turn around and back out of it.
So, I wanna clarify something here. The horse board gave us specific direction that they wanted to involve as many other clubs as possible. That this was not just a Boise chapter backcountry horseman project. And so I never looked at this as if we were going to accept long-term responsibility for 3, 4, 5, 10, or 12 obstacles, or 20 obstacles if they're there. Because there are other people involved. And that was, for me, and that's why in the design or thought that Karen was putting into these obstacles, it was important that they be static, natural materials that you would see in the backcountry. You know, that's why we had a thing called rocky bottom. Well, what is that? That is 6 to 8 inch rock cobbles placed like pavement that your horse walks across if you do one of the water crossings out there. Not unlike the bottom of the Boise River, but in a specific spot. There is really no maintenance that's gonna get done. The cottonwood trees placed where your horse has to jump over them or step over successive cottonwood trees are not going to, I guess I'm gonna generalize here, are not gonna get maintained. They are gonna sit there and rot away, and when they rot away, if somebody wants to replace them, they'll go throw another log on the ground. To me, those were the types of, this Eagle Mountain, the picture that Karen had was far different and more extravagant and really cool pyramid that she had in the pictures is cool. My perception of Eagle Mountain was the dirt hill that is there that has this really steep trail that climbs up, and there's about 5 square feet at the top where you can stand, and you could make a straight down slide on the other one where you go straight down the hill on the other side.
Well,
Well,
since
those are
then,
pretty non-maintenance items.
the manager has said we can't make that an official obstacle because that's where they take their dirt
Take their
from.
dirt, right.
But I mean, people can use that, but can't make it an official one. So I'd like to return to your idea. I mean, it doesn't take long to eat up $2,000. You know, a bridge is going to be $1,000 itself, and then whatever George needs for the tractor gas, you can use it for that. But I would, and then by nature, you could be one club that puts that in, and by nature of that being used up, next year I'll do another grant with a different club that would like to, do a couple more and put those in. It doesn't have to be all at once.
And I don't have much experience, but in my knowledge of it, if we give this money back, it's gone.
Yeah.
I mean, she'll never see it again.
I disagree.
Well, and
My
that's
personal
what we were
opinion,
right.
that I think, Karen, the horse board really likes the idea. The implementation is got some more, way more issues to work out, even with these other organizations. There are a whole lot of questions that were not considered when we put the grant in and talked about it. Do you do signage? Do you not acknowledge anybody? Why would want your name on an obstacle where somebody gets hurt and then they call that group and say you're getting sued for some reason? Doesn't matter whether you're equine exempt or not, if you get sued, you gotta hire an attorney. Nobody's got more experience than that than Robin and Renee right now.
So what is the difference when you do a bridge in the backcountry than if you do this bridge? I mean, it's the same difference,
I
so.
think the big thing that scares a lot of people here is the terminology there that this would be making us responsible for this forever.
Yeah.
Right,
And I think if we
so that's,
I think if you can get that out of there, where it's just, we go in there and we'll help you build an obstacle or whatever, and then we can walk away, and we're done.
and then when it needs to be maintained, I can come back to you and see if the group at that time would like to do it.
You're still lucky.
Yeah.
Because that's what we do.
What did you say?
That's what we do in the back country. Yeah, he just said if you still like it.
Well, it has been challenging.
So, and that's basically what we do with anything. They come to us and say, hey, we need this bridge, rebuilt or repaired. and we go and do it, but that we wash our hand, we walk away from it. And then in 5 years, if it needs to be done again, they come back to us and say, hey, can you come help us with this bridge again? And we go and do that.
And
So
Eagle
if we
Island
can,
do that.
if we can change this so it's simply building it and put that $2,000 forward for, at least we could get maybe 3 or 4 obstacles in, and the liability would be with the state. That we're working on that. That's not an issue, just as it would be in the backcountry. And then I will involve other groups. By next year, I'll do a different grant, just do the same thing, and it'll be if we just get in 3 obstacles this year, I'll be thrilled. A foot in the door. But that needs to come from you.
Like to make a recommendation that, this is a recommendation, this is them throwing mud on the wall, so to speak, we'll see what sticks. Give the money to the Eagle Island. Give the money to Gary Shelley, he runs the park. He knows where the money needs to be spent, and he's gonna spend it on these obstacles. And let Gary dole it out to whoever needs it.
Is that something that can be done?
That's something that Karen or me can ask the horse board for. At this point, I would prefer Karen talk to the horse board about it.
Yeah, I would like it
me to do it,
either
I'll be happy
to
to
go back to the horse board with a recommendation that it stays with this project, one way or the other.
Yep, give it to Eagle Island.
Or you use it, as was mentioned, just to put them in with the understanding that there's not maintenance, it's just putting them in. Those are the 2 options that would be most likely to have something happen this year. And right now, we have some big name politicians talking to State and Parks and Rec and figuring out how to do this to have a really great place for equestrians to be. And I really wouldn't want to pass that opportunity up. We gotta hit that window's gonna open, and I would like us somehow to move forward, not to have the money floating around other places, to have it secured with this project.
The funny thing is, the horse board is a governor appointed board, right?
Yeah.
Where do the funds lie? In the state coffers. What is Eagle Island? A state agency.
Well, if you can get if you can go to the state board, or to the horse group that you're talking about, and they'll say, oh yeah, we don't have a problem, if Boise Backcountry does not want this responsibility, and we can award it to Eagle Island or to this.
Transfer it to Eagle Island or Karen.
I'm all for it, but I don't wanna see her lose the money.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Please,
If she loses the money, let's just,
Yeah, I know.
let's just suck it up and go take care of it. We agreed to do it once.
Yeah.
Rather than her lose that money. That's
Well, you gotta remember, now, the board came with direction to have all these other organizations involved. So I would like to make a motion right now, and I'll make it even though I'm the president. I'd like to make a motion that we designate Karen Daly. She's the Eagle Island liaison, Trails liaison, to manage this issue between the board and Eagle Island, and her vision for Eagle Island. And we have this check. I physically have the check that has not been deposited, and we will return it to the board. And I won't do that until Karen tells me what the board wants to do with it and how they want to handle it. And then secondly, we can decide whether we want to assist on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 10 obstacles, however we want to do. Knowing that the board has asked, and there is a lot of traction within the horse industry for everybody to get involved and do their own obstacle. And Karen can meet up with them and say, here's what you have to do.
so I can meet up with other groups. I guess I'm just asking, what are you willing to do? You're one of the many groups, and I'll definitely work with the other ones. So are you willing to do 1 or 2 and use that money, and not maintain it, and we can rewrite that with an agreement with the board?
I think
And
that's where the next step is I think you need to talk with the horse board and say that Boise will only accept the grant if it's build the obstacle provide the labor, use the $2,000, however far that will go to get as many obstacles as we wanna build done. But once we've built them, then it's part of Eagle Island, it's part of the horse sport, it doesn't have anything to do with us. We're not responsible for anything.
But that
after
doesn't
it's
mean
built.
you can't come to us in 3 years and say, hey, I need this, I need help building this, you know, or repairing this. We will be right there to help you do that.
But the way it's
But we
written
don't-
now,
yeah.
with the,
But we're
we don't have any
like-
problem with the engineering in the building,
Yeah,
but the maintaining, once it's
That's
built,
where they're
it's
going.
built. And we'll build it good, and it's not gonna be shabby, but the maintaining part has to go.
And,
Okay,
watch.
so let's just make a motion to do the two log obstacles that we can do.
If they're approved by the state.
They're approved by the state. I make that motion.
To
What
do
do you
two
mean
log
if
obstacles, is that this weekend, you mean, if they're approved?
What do you
or
mean
what?
if they're approved by the
That-
state?
that was something with the motion that we
Still
voted
waiting on that.
So wait, hold on, time out. Ann Hale made a motion that passed, that was to return the check to the horse board for $2,000. There's a second motion made by Aaron Thornbrew, and I didn't recall, was there a second to that motion?
I did.
That motion, okay, so that motion was to make a recommendation to the horse board that that money be earmarked for Eagle Island obstacles, and that the whole philosophy of this Eagle Island development would be continued with these funds. That's number two, that was seconded by Marty. All those in favor of that motion say aye. Any opposed?
And specifically to the project and to me?
Yes.
So, okay.
Yeah, well, and you are the Eagle Island coordinator, and you can coordinate that deal, and that was the second.
And
We were
then
just
you'll
talking about
find
that.
out about the maintenance.
And then,
So,
And if you can get the maintenance part out of it,
Well, you're relinquishing that, then I would ask you if you would, what you would like to do. Yeah, and whatever.
so,
And,
so now
Ann just made a motion.
I'm making a motion that we do the two log obstacles provided the state approves them.
so that's not
The
gonna,
state approves these construction, and is making a motion for us to help construct the two log obstacles where the logs are already out there on the ground. Paul George can bring a tractor over, I'll bring a tractor over, I don't care. We can put in some log obstacles. That would be great, that would be a great start.
and then outside of the grant,
That requires no grant funding.
it's no money. I have all the logs. You would need rebar for some of the ends of them, but.
That was supposed to have been done this weekend. That's what we had earmarked. So,
But it's not
whether
approved
it's
yet.
this weekend or not, what I hear Ann say is a motion to construct the log spokes, wheel spokes, and the log jumps. Is that right?
They're not jump. I'll show everyone so it's clear what they are.
They're made with cottonwood logs though, right?
Well, I just want to make sure it's clear. So the log ones are this number 4. It's the pinwheel and then the parallel logs. That's number 4.
See what the parallels are.
They're just
No,
parallel.
that's more than-
That you walk across.
that you
Okay.
walk across. And then number 5 is this zigzag. It's just 3 logs on top of each other. And then this one is just the trail of logs. So that shouldn't cost any money.
All the logs are on the ground.
Because I saved 30 logs.
That's 4 and 5.
Yeah.
Easy money.
It's not warm.
I'm gonna grab the one.
Oh, it's Sarah, can you not tell us the no blanket now?
This one 4.
There we go. Let's check out there.
All the logs
Do
are.
that with my mask.
They'll be,
where
Okay. Any discussion on that motion?
I have the location. I don't know now.
That's how we did. We voted on Ann's initial proposal.
Yes.
No, we do not need to relinquish that. That's what we're doing.
That's still hanging there. If she
We
can't
don't
get
need
the
any money.
wording redone, that we're right.
Rebar, we're gonna need some drills out there to take that stuff, aren't you? Are they big enough logs?
Well, we're taking the
There's
track.
there's actually 38 logs. And we got the biggest and the straightest ones that were on that big pile.
How big are these logs?
Donate anything that you.
Here,
Are they gonna stand without rebarring them down?
We still
They lay on the
have
ground.
two,
Most of them will be fine.
either been.
we would
They
like
just
to
lay on the
rebar,
ground.
I would like to rebar
I
some
wouldn't
of
even
it,
mention that.
so that they stand.
Each pound in rebar, spices.
We can follow it up with the rebar, drill a hole
So,
and pound them in.
So Scott,
Okay.
just to recap then, we made a motion to return the money. We
With-
made another motion to say that we support the project, and we'd like the money to stay with the project and have maybe Karen be in the head of it.
Yes, ma'am.
And then we made another motion, regardless of the grant, that the club, whenever all of this gets approved and ready to build,
20, yeah.
that we would like to provide the labor to put together the 2, 4 and 5, the 2 log
Obstacle.
obstacles, at the designated spot where Karen has approved, has.
That motion was
suggested
made, and did someone second that?
I will,
Seconded?
second it.
Any other discussion on the motion? All those in favor of constructing the log obstacles under that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Yay! Sorry. Okay, that's okay. Ann said she missed the motion, but she can fill it in. Okay,
Oh, we're gonna construct the logs.
Yeah.
logs construction. Okay,
You made it.
I made it.
any other discussion? Thoughts, recommendations?
I think it's a good thing, because we put our names behind it, and we should stand behind it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
integrity.
Even though I wasn't here to vote on it.
That we.
I mean, I think it's a good project, you guys. I think it's a really good project. Karen's put a lot of work into it, and it's a really neat opportunity for people. But the more people she can involve in all these other organizations, the better off it is.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
And we've
I-
always liked being first, so.
I really believe that the money ought to go after seeing how this is playing out. I really believe that Karen, the money ought to go to Eagle Island State Park and let them distribute it to any, if the Blazer Club wants to build a bridge, great, we've got $500 to build a bridge. Come
Yeah,
and build it.
I don't agree with that, it just stay with the project specific to this. and-
Exactly,
and
that's, exactly.
Not,
But
not to Eagle Island, but
Eagle
I'll
Island
create
for this
another-
project,
I'll create another group and.
whatever you wanna do. Yeah,
Cause I don't think Gary wants something else to manage and have to figure out, manage the different clubs and,
he's got you to do that.
yeah.
Just a little bit more discussion, and I may be off base. The money was awarded to Boise Backcountry, is that right?
Yes, sir.
It was awarded to them.
Yeah.
Is there any way that we can still just be a banker for it, so that it's for sure going to her projects?
That was one of the paths that I had discussed. We simply act as the banker. We could continue as the banker,
Is there
hold the
nobody
funds.
wanted to do that?
That was on the second motion.
Well, I think that she was going to find out whether, if we wanna do that, then she needs to find out whether they can take the maintenance part out of the grant. Because
Isn't that the biggest issue is
Yeah.
that we don't wanna be responsible for it? Isn't that the biggest issue?
And that maintenance though is, I am going,
Well, what does, or find out, define what that means.
so even the construction of the logs, the 2 log obstacles that we just talked about,
But
I
you're
mean,
gonna
we can
spend-
either choose to eliminate that maintenance and just ignore it and say, yeah, that's here, give us all, good luck.
Yeah, but you're not gonna spend $2,000 on the logs, you're gonna spend $2,000 on something, and whatever that is gonna require maintenance.
But not us.
Why? Well, yes, if we keep the money and act like a banker.
No. Here's what I mean. What I heard Rob say is that if we have $2,000 and the Blazer Club wants to build a bridge, we give it to them. Give it to them.
Give it to them.
It's not our money. We give it to them.
Yeah, but
To
you're gonna
ensure
award
that
it.
It's
that
passed through.
$2,000 goes to her project.
Thank you,
And
Rob.
that would be, yeah.
Can I then,
I
if,
think there's a lot of stuff that needs clarification before you just.
Dennis is gonna pull aside. You take
She's
off.
the-
No, not, okay.
We're the banker, but she's the treasurer. She's gonna take that $2,000 and she's gonna debate it and use it.
Yeah.
And it,
What's the difference?
must be.
When Karen says the Southwest Idaho distance riders need $700 for their bridge, we're gonna say, great, here's your $700. We don't care what you do with it. I mean, we want you to build the bridge, but we're not gonna worry about maintenance.
I know that we've made a lot of motions, but I think we kinda got hasty on motions and didn't really get the discussion completely through.
Okay,
I really think.
we can
that-
change our mind.
I
Yeah,
don't
but
think we have enough information to make a really good decision at this
If,
time.
if they wait to do anything with the money, just keep it where it is right now, on the contingency that you can get the maintenance issue taken care of. Could you do that?
Well, that new director has to approve this.
Yeah, but
Well,
she
that's a
could bring it
different
to her,
issue.
right?
So, yeah, I meet with Bessie Fletcher and, well, I need the Idaho Horse Board, so I would write them and ask them, that it would be okay if there is just the building and the engineering of it, and then the maintenance will be managed by, as needed. And it wouldn't be the responsibility of one club.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can definitely take that step and clarify that.
Yeah, because
Mhm.
there would be no reason to send the money back yet if you could get that done, right?
That is correct. Yeah.
And I just ask that, like, as you mentioned, that I would be the treasurer of that, and a club talks directly to me, because if we have them talking to,
Curtis is the treasurer.
4 or 5 different people, then it's a problem if, somebody else is informing them. So that's why I'm speaking to Swit and DR tomorrow night, because they're like, okay, we want to know the bottom line for this. So I'm showing them the project. So that you're the treasurer, so then I would be able to award that. Oh, you're the treasurer.
All the motions intact, and just don't cash the check or return it yet, just hold it.
Yep,
The motions can stay, because you can do it down the road. It
Yep.
doesn't say you have to do it today.
yep,
Let her go, now that you've heard more discussion and you kind of know where everybody's coming from, go back to the horse board or whoever you need to go to make it work. And then report back to us and say, okay, this is what I can do, or this is okay with everybody. Whatever you work out, and bring it back, and let us go from there to decide whether or not
that's a
we're gonna
good,
send
that's a
the
good
money
plan,
back, we're
yeah.
gonna go ahead and send the money back and do all those things, or we're just
What?
Okay, so knowing
gonna go with the original deal.
that part about the money, just if the director says all systems are go for this weekend on 4 and 5,
Well, we can still do that. Just that-
you're still okay with that? Okay,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
all right.
And that'll keep your project moving forward.
Yeah, just every little inch we take is really important.
Every
I
chapter
don't
that
think
you,
anybody's
every
against the
chapter,
project.
every
What's that?
horse club.
I don't think anybody's against the project. I
Mhm.
think it's just how Boise fits into the project.
But
Yeah, that's fine. That's what I've suggested at the beginning. Is there 1 or 2 or 3 projects that you would like to do? And I suggested 4 and 5. So I'm glad you followed up on that, Ann. And that's exactly fine. Just those 2 they're so low maintenance, right?
It's all gonna be low maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you need clarification on what you might consider maintenance and what they consider maintenance. Someone could come in that's not equine smart at all and say, there is a piece of poop on that log and I need somebody to go out. And then somebody that don't have an idea about horses might say, we'll get a hold of backcountry horsemen to clean that up. You need clarification on maintenance.
Well, the deal is that I would say that the club that built and engineered it is not responsible for the maintenance. So that's what I'm coming back to you. I'm just asking if it's cleared this week, is 4 and 5 okay with you? Okay. And you guys need to do a motion on that, I guess, so it's clarified.
Every horse club that is approached with this project is going to have the same issue that you have brought up. We can build it, but we're not gonna maintain it long term. I mean, it may fall down or whatever happens, we're done. We're gonna build it.
So, yeah, that's something, any of them you go to, I have a feeling you're gonna have things to do
Yeah.
with that.
Well, yeah, this grant was written just for this club, and it wasn't until we were assuming responsibility for all 12. When the grant was written, they just asked, they didn't say anything specific, but they just said, would you be willing to involve some other clubs? And of course we said yes. So this is great. I like how it's evolved, and I do want everyone to feel comfortable with it. And so the last two ideas, I move a motion that I go to the Idaho Horse Board and just say, engineering and building, the Backcountry Horseman is interested in that, and that would be it in number 4 and 5. And then I would probably also mention, that the money and then we would just keep the money in the club, and then I would award that to other clubs that have come to me that would want to do any others.
And do the maintenance on a volunteer basis.
Yeah, the maintenance would.
Yeah.
Not a requirement, a volunteer.
And I guess I would manage that.
I'd like to make a clarification on that motion, Karen, if I can. I would make a recommendation for you. You can make the motion however you want, but here's my recommendation. I would recommend that if you want to go back to the horse board, you go back with 2 requests. Number 1, that the board authorize the Boise chapter to distribute funds without any contingencies to other clubs that want to participate in this project. Number 1.
She has to,
Hold on.
to be able to designate which thing they're gonna do.
Well,
They never got involved in that. Hold on, just a
No,
minute.
I would manage that,
Hold on.
who the club is and what they're doing.
I would recommend, Karen, that you consider asking the board 2 things. 1, that the Boise chapter have clarification that they can distribute the funds to other horse chapters for you that are going to participate in this thing. That's number 1. Number 2, you need to clarify, not just for backcountry horsemen, you need to clarify for all participants. And you have bigwigs, you have got some politicians, you've got companies, you've got other horse organizations that want to participate in this. So you need to clarify, not just for BCH, you need to clarify for everybody that there is no ongoing maintenance obligation and responsibility. They can engineer it and build it, and the ones who, and parts
Yeah, I
decide
think
on,
that's clear.
And that's the way it is.
I-
And on our part, I will not do anything with, third item is that the funds are still going to be deposited in our treasury and will be held by our treasurer Curtis and sent by check to those participants who have signed up and are going to build a bridge or have expenditures that need to be made.
But I just want to,
Who and how much?
Yes, so Curtis will monitor who's constructing and their receipts.
Designate who and what.
and
Karen designates who and what.
I need to be able to decide which group,
To me, who to pay.
right.
Yep.
All right.
And
Is that a
plan what
motion?
they're doing.
no.
Is that a motion?
No.
This is all this is all recommendations to Karen.
Oh.
Now I'm gonna let Karen make her own motion and decide what she wants.
Well, I don't know that we need a motion, I think she just needs to do that
To do
and come back, because we don't know what the answers are.
Well, I'm going to clarify though what you said. All I really need to ask is about the maintenance portion and clarify that. How we manage the money, according to them, they said, can you involve other groups? And that's our decision. We've got the system. Any group, if Switten DR wants to do one and it's going to cost $500, I'll go to you and say, okay, here's their receipts and we'll figure that out. Okay, so the one thing to simplify this is the maintenance, and I'll come back and clarify that the next meeting. In the meantime, if we get a go-ahead, a green light this week, then we're on for Saturday at 10 o'clock. Okay?
So Karen, will you please let Ann know what the decision is? Ann, as our secretary, will send a notice out to the chapter whether we are a go or a no-go for Saturday.
Yeah, I'll send it out to everybody.
No.
Why?
Please contact, Ann, so that she can send a notice as the secretary for the chapter that it is a go or a no-go. What none of us want to have happening is multiple individuals sending emails to the chapter completely in chapter business. So if you'll coordinate with Ann on that, she'll hear
Sure,
from
no
you.
problem. It'll just be a yes or no.
Perfect. And then we can send that out with the minutes.
Simple's good.
You happy with that too?
Okay,
Yeah.
move to adjourn.
Moving
Yep.
on,
Moving on.
I'll make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Hey, I just want to tell everybody